So get this, scientists have found a really shocking link between farm shrimp and a brand new human eye disease. Today we're going to break down how a common virus from the water seems to have made the jump to people and what that might mean for the food on your plate.
I mean, it's a wild question to even ask, right? We're all trying to be careful about the food we eat, but what if the real danger isn't in the eating, but in the preparing? What if a simple meal could actually threaten something as precious as your eyesight?
You know, we hear all the time about viruses jumping from land animals to humans, but we're turning more and more to the ocean for food, especially through the massive global industry of shrimp and fish farming. And that's opened up a whole new highway for viruses to find their way to us.
But this whole story didn't start in the ocean or on a farm. It started in a doctor's office, with a medical mystery that had ophthalmologists totally stumped.
Doctors started seeing patients with this strange condition they named POH-VAU, pronounced POH-VAU. Now that's a mouthful. It stands for persistent ocular hypertensive viral anterior uveitis. So what does that actually mean? Well, patients were getting this painful recurring inflammation in the front of their eye, and it was making the pressure inside their eyeball just skyrocket. For years, nobody had a clue what was causing it.
And this is what it actually looks like. We're looking inside the eye of someone with POH-VAU. That hazy, cloudy stuff you see, that's not just a minor irritation. It's a painful and really scary condition that is actively damaging a person's ability to see.
And when you look at the numbers, they're pretty tough. For over 80% of patients, this isn't a one-and-done kind of thing. It keeps coming back. More than half of them had eye pressure that was more than double the normal limit. That's a level that can cause permanent damage. And for about a third of the patients, eye drops weren't enough. They actually needed surgery just to save their vision.
So, with this serious new disease cropping up, researchers went on a hunt for the cause, and it led them to a suspect that was, well, completely unexpected.
So let me introduce you to the main suspect, covert mortality notavirus, or CMNV. Now, anyone in the shrimp farming business already knew this virus. It was a huge headache for them, causing this slow, creeping die-off in their shrimp stocks that cost the industry a fortune. But everyone thought it was just an animal problem.
And then came the aha moment. Looking at eye tissue from human patients under a powerful microscope, scientists saw it, tiny little virus particles. And guess what? They looked exactly like CMV. It was the first solid piece of evidence that this so-called shrimp virus had somehow jumped into people. Now, a visual match is one thing, right? But the real clincher came from the genetic analysis. The DNA of the virus they found in human patients was a 98.96% match to the CMNV found in shrimp and other seafood. At that point, there was just no denying the connection.
Okay, so they proved the link, but that just opens up a whole new can of worms, right? Like, how are people getting this and who should be the most worried?
And when they started digging into who was actually getting sick, the answer was pretty surprising. It wasn't the big-time fishermen or workers in huge processing plants. The single biggest risk group, making up over half the cases, was just regular people handling seafood in their own kitchens.
And if we drill down even further into how they're getting exposed, one activity just jumps off the page. More than half of all cases were tied to processing seafood, without any protection. The number one risk is just handling the stuff with your bare hands. So what does that actually look like? Well, it seems the most common way this virus gets in is through simple puncture wounds. You know, a little poke from a sharp shrimp tail or a fish spine while you're getting dinner ready. That might be all it takes to let the virus in. And look, this isn't just a theory. See those dark purple spots? That's the actual CMNV virus, and it was found deep inside the muscle of shrimp that were being sold in a market. The virus is literally in the food we're buying and bringing home.
You might be thinking, okay, but this must be pretty rare, right? Well, not exactly. Scientists have found CMNV in over 20 different kinds of seafood, both farmed and wild. When they tested products from local markets, they found it in over half the fish samples and in more than a quarter of the shrimp samples. So yeah, it's definitely out there.
So what's the big picture here? This discovery isn't just about a weird eye disease. It's a massive warning sign for our entire global food system.
I mean, listen to what the researchers themselves said in their paper in Nature Microbiology. This study reveals that an aquatic animal virus is associated with an emerging human disease. This is basically a game changer for how we need to think about food safety.
For the multi-billion-dollar aquaculture industry, this is a huge wake-up call. The virus is now officially listed as an emerging disease.
And get this, studies have even shown that as shrimp farming increases in an area, the risk of this eye disease goes up too. So for shrimp farmers, for processors, biosecurity isn't just about protecting their shrimp stocks anymore, it's about protecting public health.
So what can you do to stay safe? Thankfully, the steps are pretty simple. The most important thing is to just create a barrier. Wear gloves when you're handling raw or frozen seafood. It sounds basic, but it can stop those little nicks and cuts. Next, cook your seafood all the way through. And of course, wash your hands really well with soap and water when you're done. Simple stuff can make a huge difference.
This whole discovery really opens your eyes, doesn't it? It proves that our health is deeply connected to the health of our oceans, and more specifically, how we farm them. And it leaves us with a really important question. As our demand for seafood keeps growing, what other hidden risks might be emerging from the deep?